It's not easy being the Chevy Corvette. 70 years of history says each new model needs not only to be worthy of the name but also offer greater performance. But even an iconic sports car can reach its physical limits and need to change things up to lay down more power. In the words of Scotty from Star Trek, I can't change the laws of physics. Put those words in the mouth of Taj Jukter, Corvette executive chief engineer, the man who had to tell his bosses that the front-engine C7 had fully realized its potential and the only way to go faster was to go mid-engine. Hence the C8, which was the 2020 Motor Trend Car of the Year. But when we're talking Corvette, you can't rest even on those monumental laurels. The Stingray performance upgrades include the Z51 and now the Z06. Still, there is the desire for more. Introducing the 2024 Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray, the first Corvette to be electrified and offer all-wheel drive and technically also the first front-wheel drive Corvette in EV-only mode, where propulsion comes only from the front-mounted electric motor. With its hybrid powertrain, the E-Ray becomes the quickest production Vette to date, capable of a 2.5-second 0 to 60 miles per hour time and completing the quarter mile in 10.5 seconds, according to GM. That is 0.1 second faster than Motor Trend's own quickest times from the Z06 at 2.6 and 10.6 seconds. The difference, Vette engineers say, is the extra traction. And it will likely remain the fastest Vette until the storied badge reluctantly goes full electric. We say reluctantly because Jukter openly talks about how Corvette customers don't want a fully electric model. The E-Ray Hybrid, to be offered as a $104,295 coupe and a $111,295 convertible, helps Corvette enthusiasts dip their toes into the electric motor pool. The idea was to develop a C8 hybrid that can serve as a comfortable daily driver even in inclement weather, perform as a grand tourer that excels on twisty roads, and also be wicked fast, launch hard, drift, and do burnouts. Convincing Corvette buyers to go electric. This is the first step, and I think people are going to embrace it, Jukter says. They are going to say, hey, wait a second, that's actually pretty cool. I'm getting some EV benefit, and I'm not losing anything. There never was a plan for a plug-in hybrid that would be a bridge too far. The EV part comes from pairing a 1.9 kilowatt-hour battery and electric motor with the 6.2-liter naturally aspirated LT2 small block V8. The combo means the car gets 495 horsepower and 470 lb-ft of torque from the V8 alone, and another 160 horsepower and 125 lb-ft from the electric motor for a combined 655 horsepower and 595 lb-ft of torque. The hybrid setup and conventional V8 are not connected except through the road, which posed calibration challenges but also allowed each to be tailored specifically to its own strengths. In addition to providing a bit more grunt, the EV bits give the sports car 3 or 4 miles of EV-only range in stealth mode. It means you can creep in and out of your neighborhood silently before the V8 roars to life. That roar will be enhanced because the engineers have taken pains to eliminate sounds they deemed annoying and elevate more favored tones from the engine for a throaty voice with a soupçon of sci-fi whine. And legal requirements demand an artificial sound to serve as a pedestrian warning when the car is in full EV mode. Far too much effort and energy went into the sound, Jukter jokes. The end result, think Knight Rider meets Tron. Finally, an AWD, and FWD. Corvette. All-wheel drive is something Corvette buyers have been requesting for years, Jukter says. This was more for practical reasons than performance, so they could drive their Corvette for at least 3 seasons. But until the car went mid-engine, there were no mechanical solutions. Now the E-Ray uses power from the gas engine on the rear axle and power from an electric motor in the front. It was a natural evolution given GM's commitment to an electric future. And technically, when running in EV-only mode, it becomes the automaker's first front-drive Corvette. Michael Kutcher, lead development engineer, says they took the E-Ray to Hoosier Path, a mountain pass near Breckenridge, Colorado, for a week while developing the chassis controls. A snowstorm rolled in. The three engineers, all with varying driving styles, took turns running up the mountain. They experienced some sliding and slippage, but in all cases were able to power through. When the front axle had traction, any deceleration or braking regenerates energy, so all three engineers also made it to the top with plenty of charge left. The car will give the maximum discharge possible, but a buffer is maintained in terms of stored electricity, so AWD is always available for maximum performance and dynamics. Otherwise, it would just be a heavy two-wheel drive car, says Kutcher, who is one of many engineers who came from the EV side to work on the Corvette program. Chevy did a lot of winter testing in northern Michigan as part of the program. And yes, you can get Michelin snow tires from the factory, in addition to the all-seasons that will come on the car. Distinguishing the Corvette E-Ray. Essentially, the E-Ray uses the chassis and V8 from the Stingray and the wider bodywork and wheel and tire sizes from the Z06. There's new blue E-Ray badging on each side, available body color trim, and an exclusive twisted 5-spoke wheel design. Chevy will also offer options such as an electric blue stripe kit, black exhaust tips, and carbon fiber ground effects, wheels, and trim finishes. Why isn't there an electric motor somewhere in the rear of the car? There simply isn't enough room between the engine and transmission, and the team wasn't about to go down to a V6, says Chief Engineer Josh Holder. The tunnel between the seats is filled with batteries and was designed to do so from the start of the C8 program, which always included plans for a hybrid and a pure EV version. You can't fit any more batteries into that tunnel, and making it wider was not an option due to seating constraints. The tunnel, the dimensions of which have been defined since the C5, is also structural, providing the torsional stiffness needed to offer a hardtop convertible as well as the coupe with a removable top. More energy-dense batteries could maybe provide 8 miles of electric range in the future but would not necessarily enhance performance, Holder says. There is no one-pedal drive, nor would it fit the character of the car, Jichter says. Even stop-start, courtesy of a new lightweight lithium-ion 12-volt battery, was hugely controversial among enthusiasts fighting even the smallest step into electrification. We fully expect our customers to be upset, the longtime Corvette engineer says, noting there is a button to turn it off. Corvette fans will be glad to know the E-Ray has standard magnetic ride control 4.0 with 3 suspension settings, as well as staggered 20 and 21-inch wheels with Michelin Pilot Sport all-season tires. Michelin Pilot Sport 4S summer tires are available as part of a performance package. Benefits of the hybrid. The E-Ray's simple hybrid predates GM's Ultium technology for its pure EVs. The Corvette hybrid can only run in EV mode up to 45 miles per hour if the battery has enough juice and you aren't greedy with your torque demands. But the beauty of the small hybrid system and its power-optimized battery is that you can put energy in and take it out almost as quickly as if they were ultracapacitors. It's hard to get home without the battery fully charged, Jichter says. The hybrid system assists all the way to 150 miles per hour, at which point the front motor gets disconnected. The vehicle targets an 80% state of charge, but touching the Charge Plus button prioritizes maximum energy regeneration to 100% charge for extended lapping at the track. The car maintains a slightly larger buffer of power to tap for continued corner exits. You can switch off Charge Plus for a final hero lap that will fully deplete the battery to its safety buffer. It's worth mentioning again, due to the buffer, the car will never randomly become rear drive, which is important, say, at the apex of a corner on throttle. Fuel economy efforts. The wide body hurts aerodynamics, and the extra motor, lithium-ion battery, and other components add weight. Essentially, the fuel economy gains from hybridization are cancelled out, Jichter says. The car has not been EPA rated, but he expects the E-Ray's numbers to be similar to the Stingray's 16/24/19 mpg in city/highway/combined driving. The wider E-Ray will be less efficient in highway driving but could improve in city driving by 1 mile per gallon with its ability to regenerate energy and the addition of the stop-start system. Like the Stingray, the E-Ray has active fuel management that can deactivate 4 of the 8 cylinders. The difference is the added torque on the front axle from the hybrid system allows the E-Ray to stay in V4 mode more often. The hybrid system was the lightest way to add all-wheel drive and enhance performance. The battery, electronics, front drive unit, half-shafts, and cooling components only added 231 pounds, Holder says. But even with carbon ceramic brakes, a lithium-ion 12-volt battery, and other lightweighting efforts, the E-Ray becomes the heaviest vet to date. Electrifying the car had little impact on available cargo room in the frunk. Engineers had to encroach slightly to accommodate some pipes for the heat exchanger, but the infringement is less than 2 liters, 0.07 cubic feet, of lost cargo space, basically negligible. You can still get your carry-on and a knapsack in there. Who will buy the Corvette E-Ray? The Corvette lineup has always had a clear hierarchy, and every time you go up, there's an expectation of even stronger performance. There are buyers who want the best Corvette, which can lead to owning a track scalpel that never makes it to the track. Jukter says the addition of the E-Ray splits the family so the Z06 can be the pure track machine and the E-Ray can be a better all-rounder that improves on what people love about the Stingray. Holder says the E-Ray has more of a gentlemanly GT feel, rather than the racy feel of a Z06. Affluent buyers might want the E-Ray as their daily driver and keep a Z06 in their private garage at the track. The hybrid arrives as a tweener and a Goldilocks with wide appeal, breaking cover 70 years after the first Corvette made its debut at the Motorama Auto Show in New York City. E-Ray coupe or convertible. The Corvette team thinks sales of the coupe and convertible could be evenly split, which is the current case for other C8 Corvettes. But executives say they wouldn't be surprised to see sales skew more to convertibles if E-Rays are bought first and foremost for daily driver/Grand Tourer use. The 2024 Corvette E-Ray goes on sale in the second half of the year. All Corvettes are built at the Bowling Green plant in Kentucky, and the mix between models is flexible to meet demand. But the plant only builds roughly 40,000 a year, and demand continues to outstrip supply. With a long line of reservations for the Z06 that could take years to fill, some of those customers might drop their orders and switch to the E-Ray in the hopes of a speedier delivery. As for the E-Ray name, it was settled on early in the program. It riffs on the fact that stingrays and electric rays do in fact exist. Designer Kirk Benyon says they looked at a lot of aquatic creatures. We decided against electric eel, says Jukter. Look up a picture, and you will see why.